guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for another video. And today we're going to do a brand new video to Magic TV. Never done before. I'm not too sure if we'll ever do another one of these again. This is probably the worst idea I've ever had. This is the Craig test. That's right. Matt is turning the tables on me. He has a trick. I know what the trick is, but I have no idea what it is. I know who created the trick, and I've not seen the trailer. I've not seen the video. I've not read the ad copy. I have no idea what this trick is. I know that the creator is very clever, and I know he's known for his mentalism, so I've got a feeling where this is going to be going. But Matt has watched the tutorial, and he has learnt the trick, and he's going to try and fool me with it, and then I'm going to get Matt to give it a review. This could be an absolute shit show. We're literally, it's feeding time at the zoo right now. But, and I've had to drag Jack off his work because apparently you need more than one spectator. So immediately
Well, I don't fit the trick, actually. You don't need to film this bit, actually.
We're filming the whole thing.
No, I just wanted to show you guys something before we did the trick. So before I do the trick, I just wanted to show you guys something, just something that happened last night that I thought, like, you don't need to film it genuinely. This is just something that happened last night, and I wanted, while I've got you all here, I just wanted to show you before we actually do the trick.
Could have said that before I did the intro.
No, I know, but just I don't like interrupting when you're on a roll. Anyway, just right. So last night I was with my mum and dad. We went to see my mum and dad, right? And my mum's been in the loft and she's dug out all this stuff from like my nan and granddad. I don't know why, but I walked in. She's flicking through. I'll show you. She's got all these Polaroid photos. And she was flicking through them all, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, are these like family members and stuff? And like, where have all these come from? She was like, no. These are all photographs of, it's from a case. I was like, what do you mean a case? And she was like, well, your granddad used to, you know, when you get like unsolved mysteries and stuff like that. Yeah. So my granddad liked looking into these like unsolved mysteries and things. It was like, it was just a thing that he used to do all the time. And apparently this is from one of them. It drove him mad for ages. And it was a case from, it was like 1953 or something, which is why all the photos are really old. It was from a little town called Pottersbrook in North Yorkshire. And there was this thing where all these people, every single person on these photos, disappeared.
Shit.
They all vanished. They all got abducted. Every single one of them. And it was bizarre because they got abducted, but then nobody knew like what happened.
Well, they're never found.
The police were all over it, and they couldn't figure out what had happened. It was really, really strange. But they all came back.
What do you mean they all came back?
They all just came back. So they were gone for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then they just reappeared. And the police kept like opening investigations and stuff because every single time that one of them disappeared, a Polaroid photograph of them would turn up on their front porch.
What?
I know. So every time they disappeared, a Polaroid photograph would turn up on their front porch. So whoever opened the door, friends or family or loved ones, whoever were at the house, found this Polaroid photograph, and then they were like, oh no, it's happened again. And they'd just disappear. And then like they'd go for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they'd just come back. But when they came back, they had no recollection of what had happened. So they'd just disappear, turn up 3 weeks later. As far as they're concerned, nothing had happened. They just went out and did what they were doing that day.
Isn't that the plot to the TV series 4400?
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. 4,400 people disappear around the world, and then they reappear one day with no memory.
Well, apparently that actually happened in Yorkshire in 1953, so maybe that's what they kind of based the show on. The last woman that happened to was Alice. She was the last person that it happened to, and she just kind of disappeared. And over the road from our house, there was some like a wooded area.
Can I just clarify? Is Alice the lady?
Alice is the lady, not the baby. And then she just turned up 3 weeks later, just found mooching around, just walked out of the woods over the road from our house.
What the fuck?
And like she'd had no idea what had happened, but she'd been missing for 3 weeks. All of her, like the parents and stuff and friends and family at the wall at the house gathered with the police, just freaked out because she just walked out of the woods and didn't know what had happened. It was really, really weird. But the police were just like completely lost. So they were just standing on the front porch of Alice's house, and they're just like, what do we do? Like, how do we? Because nobody knows what's happened to them. They can't tell us what's happened to them. As far as they're concerned, they're absolutely fine. They did physical checks on them and everything, and they're all absolutely fine. They just disappeared. And the police were just like, what do we do? So I'm like, this is nuts. And my mum's like, I know. And my granddad's got like some documentation and stuff that he's done some research and whatever. And I'm just like, this is so bizarre. So anyway, Alice was the last one, and the police record states that the copper was just standing there, and they just thought, well, what do we do? We're just going to have to, like, roll the dice to try and figure out what's going on with this. Like, there's nowhere to start. We don't know what to do. We're just going to roll the dice and follow on with some random investigations and see what happens. And something did.
Something happened.
Something came up. It was bizarre, but it was to do with the photographs.
Right.
So we're just going to try and do what they did and see if we can take it a little bit further than my granddad did. Because what the result that he came to was just, it was bizarre. It just didn't make any sense. But we'll give it a go. So what I want you to do is just take the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
And the copper said that he was standing on the front porch and he just rolled the dice.
Okay.
So we'll figuratively roll a dice.
Mm-hmm.
So in your head, imagine you're standing on Alice's parents' front porch,
mm-hmm.
looking out over the wooded area in front of you,
mm-hmm.
and you just roll a dice. If you were to roll a dice in your head, what number would you come to?
5. 4.
5 or 4?
54.
50, you can't roll 54 on a dice.
Can if you've got enough dice.
5 or 4?
4.
4. Okay, so what he did was just started going through the photographs to try and figure out where to start first. Mm-hmm. So if you take 4 cards, one at a time, put them from the top to the bottom. 2, 3, 4. And then he handed him to his colleague.
Mm-hmm.
Hand him to Jack. Don't show me. Just take a look at the photograph of whoever that is. You can show the camera if you want.
Yeah.
Just take a look at the photograph, and he started analysing that photograph. So he'd like just picture the name, remember the name, picture the person in the photograph.
Yeah, I got it.
Just have a look. Just remember as much detail as you possibly can about that photograph, because all this is going to help with the investigation later on down the line. You got it?
This is freaky.
I know. This is what they did though. They had nowhere else to go. So if you remember the photograph,
Yeah,
yeah? Okay. So you do the same thing again. Just keep looking at them face up, and just take the amount of letters in that person's name, okay. And then one at a time, put the cards to the bottom.
Like this.
Yeah. Done it?
Yep.
Hand them to Craig. Don't show me. Just keep them face up and look at them. Now you picture that person. Just keep an eye on that person.
Got it.
Look at their name. Remember their name. Remember about that photograph. Don't show me. Just remember about that photograph and as much detail as you possibly can in that photograph. Have you got it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Do the same thing again. Just pick however many letters are in that person's name. One at a time, put them to the bottom. This apparently was how the police worked in 1953. They just kind of completely winged it.
Okay.
You got it? So there's another photograph, yeah? Mm-hmm. You pair both look at that photograph. So but that's like the final photograph that they went on.
Yeah.
So you just look at that photograph, look at the person in it, check out the person's name, just take in as much information as you can about that photograph.
Yeah.
About what's going on in that photograph and what that person's doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got it? Okay, give me the photos back. So basically what we do is they kind of, in fact, put your hand out, Jack. Put your other hand on top. You just hold on to that last photograph.
Okay.
Okay? Now the police went through all of this and they tried to kind of it was just random, just trying to figure out just from different photographs if there was any kind of information that they could find at all. And looking through the information that my granddad found out, it was really bizarre because he came up with some names. And the names of these people kind of moved the case along a little bit, for him at least. But we're going to see if we can do the same. Now the first one, I can't, what was the first name? He was looking through, the first name was the first person that was abducted actually. He was quite important because it was the first person that it had happened to. His name was Luke. Does that ring any bells with you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that was the photo I was looking on.
That was the first photo you picked?
Yeah.
Luke?
Luke, yeah.
That was the first person that got abducted?
No way.
So when you picked a random number, right? Between one and you just went down and that was Luke?
That was Luke, yeah.
That was the first person that was abducted. So this was the first person when it all started. It all happened to him.
Poor Luke.
Poor Luke. I know, it was weird, right? But then after Luke, there was another guy that was he was quite important actually. And there's a newspaper clipping about this other guy. The second guy that it happened to. Because he was the only one. This was why he was such a fundamental part of the case. Because this second guy was the only guy that never came back.
Oh, this guy still never...
He's still missing to this day. Nobody's ever seen him. They never found a body. This was the last guy. This was the only guy that never came back. And just, can you see that? The newspaper clipping with that guy?
Yeah.
What was the guy that you picked?
George.
George Rutland?
Wow, yeah, that's him. That's
Is that the
him.
photograph?
Yeah.
He was the last guy, the only guy that never came back. And there was a newspaper clipping dedicated specifically to him because they were still looking for him, and they still are to this day.
Poor bastard.
It's weird, right? And then you've got all these other photographs. These are all the people that kind of... all these other names, all these other people. These were the ones that did come back. But out of all of them, there was one name that kept popping up over and over and over again. The police investigations and everything that they did, there was one name that just kept popping up over and over and over. It was bizarre. They couldn't picture why this person kept popping up, because there was never any kind of... she was kind of like an enigma. There was never any kind of evidence or anything to prove that she existed. But she was the one that was the main suspect of the case. But every time anyone got anywhere close, every time anyone got anywhere near her, it was just like she vanished. There was a lot of people throughout the village that thought she was like, that she didn't even exist to start with. That it was just a complete story that had been made up by people. You know, when people and humans kind of something traumatic happens and they just try and figure it out, and sometimes people can just make things up just to give themselves a reason that something's happened. Well, that's what they thought this person was. But my granddad was completely convinced that this was the person that had done it, and he wrote this name down over and over and over again as the person that he thought was the one that had committed this crime. But she was never documented. There was never any interviews. Nobody ever found her. There was never even a photograph of this person. Never a photograph, never any documentation, nothing. She didn't exist. But over this piece of paper that my granddad kept writing over and over again, there was just this name. It was Meredith. Meredith.
That was the last name that we looked at, wasn't it?
Oh shit, yeah.
The one in your hand.
That was the last name that you looked... what? The photograph that you picked was Meredith?
Yeah.
It can't be. Meredith didn't exist.
But we saw it there.
Yeah.
There was never any photographs of Meredith.
There is.
There is. Right there.
I'm holding it.
No, there wasn't.
Whoa!
Meredith never existed. They never photographed Meredith.
What X-Files shit is this?
They never found her. So it can't have been, right?
But we saw it.
It can't.
What the fuck?
She was never there.
That's freaky.
That's cool.
Okay, that was the trick. I'm just...
Yeah, right. I figured it was. Within 3 seconds of you.
That's a very good trick. That's brilliant.
Okay.
Freaky, but good.
And you can check them all out. She's not there in any of them.
Okay.
Meredith, where you go?
Where did Meredith go?
Okay. It's very good. It's very good. We're going to switch the camera off for a minute. I'm going to tell you how I think it's done. I
Okay.
don't think it's fair to do that on camera, and then we can review it.
Okay.
And we'll get Jack out of the way.
Bye, Jack.
Bye,
Jack.
guys.
Okay, so I just told you how I thought it would work.
Yeah.
And I nailed it 100%, right? Like, absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
Bless him, he thought it was going to fool me. You got to get up a lot earlier in the morning to fool
God damn
Craig
it.
Penny. But I do have to say, because this is going to be part review, part Craig test.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to lean to you with the review, because even though I know how this is working, you've seen the tutorial, not me. Now, I will say that this is called Polaroid, and it's by Jamie Daws. Now, Jamie is one of my favourite creators. He does a lot with Alakazam. He's brought this out himself, not through Alakazam. One of the things I like about Jamie is that he really thinks about the story behind a trick. A lot of his tricks are story-based. This feels like a Jamie Daws trick.
Okay.
So that, which is a good thing. It's also, can you ever imagine in a million years me doing this?
Not really.
It's not my sort of magic. I can't pull off the story type thing like you can. Like, to you, I would seriously consider putting this into your act.
I love it.
Because, you know, at the end of the day, at the moment, you're getting by on Stebbins alone. So, you know, throwing a couple of other things would probably be a good thing. But this, I would love to see you performing this in the real world. I think you could really, really, really boss this. So I've got questions for you, because...
Fire away.
So first of all, the story that you told, is that the story that Jamie has with it? Or is it that you put your own story together?
There's no... That's the one thing I noticed about watching the tutorial video. He gives you little bits of information, He gives you little bits that you can input into the story, which I did. But for the most part, he gets to the... So I'm sitting there for the whole thing, watching the method, learning the method. He does a few bits with, like, it's quite in-depth. And then there's loads of other stuff.
How long's the tutorial?
About an hour and 40, I think.
About an hour and 40.
And then there's other stuff that he does with cards, just a normal deck of cards where you can use the same method, and he does various different tricks with that. But then he gets to the end of it, and then he goes... Because I'm sitting there the whole time going, right, like, show me the trick. Show me the trick.
Have you checked the trailer out? Sometimes... No?
No, I didn't.
Okay, there might be a performance in the trailer, I don't know. Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
very
no
odd. That's very odd with Jamie, because Jamie is a storytelling magician.
Yeah.
A lot of his best tricks, the Given, Krampus, are all based around...
Well, he gets to the end of it and actually states, with this trick, he wants people to go out and make their own stories. So he wants every person that's doing this trick for it to be different, because they're creating a story around themselves. And then there's a Facebook group that you can go onto afterwards.
Which I kind of understand, and I've argued for that for ages. I've said, people should put their own stamp on it. However, devil's advocate, there's a lot of people that come into magic that would buy this that haven't got the acting ability that you have.
That's what I was going to say. For me, I'm like, fucking hell, free reign. Let's get this done. And I sat up because I only got it yesterday. As I was leaving work, I got it. So I was just like, right, okay. So I sat up last night and I was like, got a bit of free reign here. Let's make a story up. Let's make something believable. Let's make something relatable. Let's do it. And I sat up there and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed putting the routine together myself, putting the story together myself, using the bits and bobs that he gives during the demonstration. He gives you little bits of information that you can use, which are quite imperative to how the trick works. But then for the rest of it, you're just left to your own devices. And me personally, I love that, because I'm just like, right, okay, let's see if I can do it better than everybody else. If you're new into magic
and you bought this trick and
if you haven't got an acting background, if you're not used to working with scripts, if you're new into magic, if you're not, particularly confident in making things up yourself, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't give you a routine to perform. So you have to do it yourself or you can't do it, which for me is fine. If you really wanted to do a trick like this, you could do that. You could make up a story, no problem. For somebody new coming in, it's like, holy shit. I would imagine that would be quite daunting. However, he has got a Facebook page that you can go onto afterwards, which he still hasn't accepted me on, Jamie. But you can go onto the Facebook page afterwards. It asks for the same password as you get in the pack. And then there's the whole Facebook page dedicated to Polaroid, where he's encouraging people after they've worked out their routines and worked out their story to then go onto the Facebook page and share them with everybody else that's bought the trick.
It would have been nice to have one performance though that somebody could maybe jump off as a starting point and then kind of
maybe. Yeah. But I mean, for me, I was just like, cool, let's get it done. I was quite happy to do it, but I would imagine that for a lot of people they wouldn't be. So yeah, maybe in the future, if you are going to do something that's you want people to put their own spin on, that's fantastic, but give them a bit more to start on.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no way of doing this without telling a story, so you have to bear that in mind. If you're going to perform this, if you're going to buy this, it's going to
I don't know how long that took, but
yeah, it's going to be a story-based presentation. This is not the sort of thing that you would do, like you've done a few gigs now, so you know that there's certain gigs where you go to, like there's just like tables everywhere and it's rammed.
Big corporate gigs and stuff, definitely not.
You're not going to do that here.
No.
Where this I think would work really well is in a restaurant residency or a parlour show.
Or a house party.
Where you've got time to bring this sort of thing out. Because what I like about it is it's not a card trick, it's not a coin trick, it's something very, very different. It's mentalism, which I know that you like, but it's mentalism that's done with objects that are kind of interesting. As soon as you bring Polaroids out, it brings certain memories of Polaroids. Oh, my mum and dad used to have one of these. You can tell that they're really old pictures. I mean, I like the premise. I just think that you'd have to have where I think this would work really well? Having these Polaroids on your living room table, so when your friends come round, and they'll ask, what's those? And you go, well, that's interesting. I found these in the loft or whatever it may be, the presentation you came up with. Self-working, pretty much.
Yes.
Other
than one move.
One move that's very, very easy that you didn't know.
I didn't even know the move until I watched the tutorial last night.
Well, you did it very well.
I tried it
when
like
I watched
three
you
times.
do the move, I was like, I didn't know you knew that move.
I didn't until last night. But I watched it. I did it like 3 or 4 times last night in a row, and then I was like, okay, yeah, I got that. It's dead easy. And the explanation that Jamie gives on how to do it is quite in depth. So there's no, if I can do that literally in a night, there's no reason that everybody that buys this wouldn't be able to do that move.
It would be quite easy to reset this trick as well, wouldn't it, if you were doing it in the
When
right
I
time?
laid, before you started pissing about with them, yes, because I
Sorry.
laid them all out like that, so
Sorry.
you can scoop them up in order and put them back in again.
Right,
So
okay,
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
but as long as nobody picks them up and starts messing about with them. However, you do get a crib with it, so
Nice.
that tells you exactly what order the cards have got to go in.
Perfect.
And you get obviously the card with the password on it as well, and you get it in a cool little black envelope with your little shiny label on.
Jamie's a great tutor. He's a great teacher of magic. Always
Yeah.
has been. I like that. That adds an extra.
I missed something out of that because I should have mentioned that it's not the original, it's a photocopy, because I couldn't take the original away, which I should have put in, but I forgot. But there are different things that you can mention as to why it's a photocopy, not the original.
What I like, I just really like it. I really like this.
I really like the story.
There's quite a lot of moments. You know, first of all, you're getting the first person's name correct, Luke in this case, which will be a different name.
Yes,
Yeah.
it will.
Second of all, I really like the fact that you've got the prediction here. Third of all, I like the fact that you get Meredith, and then the final revelation is kind of very Outer Limits, very X-Files.
Just completely disappears.
It's really good. You can tell Jack was freaked out about it. I can't comment on the tutorial, but I know Jamie well enough to know that he's probably done a really good job of that. I can comment on the trick. I think that looking at these, I can tell that they're very well made.
They are,
As long
yeah.
as you look after them and you put them back in your little black envelope, I know that it'll last a long time. It's easy to do, which means you can focus on presentation. I think
could
the
do it,
only
so,
thing
yeah.
that you need to think about is the presentation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to give it 79%, purely because, and you've never reviewed anything before, so let me explain. If you're not,
did.
Oh yeah, you did once before, didn't you? Yeah, and then I let you back again. If you, if you're not going to do it, then it can't get 80 or above. If you are going to do it, the highest mark it can get is 79%. I appreciate this. I think this is really good. It's very Jamie Daws. It's also very you. I can see you doing this in the right time, right place.
If Jamie
but
Daws has a shop, I will be mooching through it, because this is right up my street.
You should look at The Given. It's an Alakazam trick. It's incredible, by Jamie. But 79, Krampus is another example. Jamie brought out a Christmas trick.
Oh, I've heard.
When I
Krampus,
brought out a
yeah.
Christmas trick, it was little elves on cards, like doing magic. He's brought out a Christmas trick about a demon called Krampus that kills children. Like, that's the sort of thing
Nice.
that Jamie does.
Much more in my line of thinking.
But I'm going to give it
than elves.
79% because I wouldn't do it. But I can appreciate how good it is. Feel free to give it a review.
I think, as far as performance-wise goes, the trick itself, I love it. It's dead easy to do, and you get free reign with the story. He gives you just about enough information in the tutorial to kind of work the story if you've got a bit of background in kind of creating scenarios. So it works fine for me, because I've got no problems with kind of creating my own little story. I love that. I think it's limited in where you can perform it. If this was something that I could perform absolutely anywhere, then I'd probably give it 100%. Because I can only perform it in certain scenarios, in certain gigs, and it'd only work in, and it is, unless you lay them all out properly and you've got enough space and you lay them all out easy enough to reset, it is a bit of a ball out to reset. If you were doing it over and over again over the course of a night, I think I'd give it 90%.
90%?
I like it.
There you go.
I
Go
really
do your
like
act.
it.
Yeah?
I really like it. I'll definitely do it. It's just going to be picking the right time to do it.
Perfect.
But I love it.
There you
Did
go.
you like my story?
I loved it. I think it was very good, yeah. I'm imagining you based it on a story that Jamie suggested.
Yeah. So there's
Because I
elements in there.
read in this that it's, on this thing it says, in the Polaroid disappearances continue to bemoose as George remains the only person still missing.
Yeah.
So I imagine there's
he tells you that.
elements.
bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to do the Meredith bit the way that that's done. The first name is the only one that you don't know before you start. But obviously, there's a little bit of memory work involved.
I love that you brought it into your grandparents and the house and the loft. Really good, really
There's
good.
a few bits and bobs in the explanation of the trick where he gives you these little bits of information that you have to slot into the story that you then kind of produce yourself. But the main points of it are there in the tutorial. You just have to kind of make up the other bits that are around the main points, which I'm absolutely fine with. And if anybody really likes this and they want to buy it and they want to use the story that I've just done, the explanation and the presentation that I've just done, feel free, go for it.
There you go. That's very nice. Thanks very much for joining us on the very first Craig test. If you want to see another one of these, half review, half testing me to see if I can figure a trick out, performed by a total dickhead. If you'd like to see, that'd be you. If you want to see more videos like this, you want to see another Craig test, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much, Matt, for jumping on the very first Craig test. You don't forget to join the NETRIX. It's where he learns all of his tricks from. So if you want to be mediocre like Matt, go and join the NETRIX. www.thenetrix.com.
Such a fucking arsehole.
We'll be back soon. Thanks very much for watching. I'm Craig.
Cheers, guys. I'm Matt.
See you soon.